The World Health Organization classifies hormonal contraceptives as Class 1 carcinogens. It is impossible to calculate the number of deaths due to contraception because mortality is often attributed to another cause. Nowhere on the U.S. Certificate of Death does it even mention the use of contraceptives. At present, there are tens of thousands of lawsuits in the courts against pharmaceutical companies for death and/or serious side effects. It is also impossible to calculate how many millions of babies have died. Many chemical contraceptives try to prevent ovulation. However, research has shown that breakthrough ovulation can occur, and the egg can become fertilized. In that case, the chemicals prevent the implantation of the developing baby to the lining of the womb, and as a result, the mother's body rejects and aborts her baby without ever knowing she was with child. This is the cause of death for 7 to 12 million babies in America each year. With the prevalence of contraception, it's no wonder that adultery is on the rise, as is promiscuity. Homosexual behavior. And even abortion due to failed contraception. Chemical contraceptives are not the only problem. It's the whole birth control mentality. This idea that we have the right to decide when and how life comes about. With contraception, we see the prevention and termination of life. When we act contrary to God's will, putting pleasure above authentic love, we sink below our dignity as persons, made in the image and likeness of God, who has given us this marriage act as a sign of Himself. Both unitive and procreative. Sterilization is the most frequent form of contraception used worldwide, resulting in over 223 million couples permanently unable to reproduce. If you had a valuable racehorse, because of its worth, you would want it to have as many offspring as possible. But the value of a horse is nothing compared to the infinite value of each and every person made in God's image. We're not stray cats that need to be neutered. We should want to procreate, knowing that every new person has a unique and immortal soul, destined to live for all eternity. Pregnancy is not a risk, it's a privilege. Up until 1930, all Christian denominations condemned contraception as sinful. Augustine wrote about it in the 4th century, saying, "Marital relations, even with a lawful wife, are unlawful and degrading when the conception of a child is deliberately frustrated. This was the sin of Onan, and God struck him dead because of it." Martin Luther said the sin of contraception is far more atrocious than incest and adultery, while John Calvin condemned contraception, saying it was doubly monstrous. In 1930, swayed by growing social pressure, the Anglican Church announced that contraception would be allowed, but only for married couples and only for grave reason. Soon after, they completely caved in, allowing it across the board. Since then, all Protestant denominations have followed suit, putting the pleasure of man above the law of God. When, therefore, through contraception, married couples remove from the exercise of their conjugal sexuality its potential procreative capacity, they claim a power which belongs solely to God, the power to decide, in the final analysis, the coming into existence of a human person. They assume the qualification not of being cooperators in God's creative power, but the ultimate depositories of the source of human life. In this perspective, Contraception is to be judged so profoundly unlawful as never to be for any reason justified. To say or think the contrary is equal to maintaining that in human life situations may arise in which it is lawful not to recognize God as God. Contraception is the path that has led us to the culture of death prevalent in the world today, but it doesn't have to be the path of our future. The time has come when each of us must make a choice. Will we continue on the path of self-seeking, empty pleasure, and false joy, at the cost of contravening the will of God, or will we follow the path of virtue, which entails sacrifice and a total gift of self, deep peace and authentic joy, which only comes when living in the will of God? Don't be fooled by the promises of the world. If someone you know is contracepting, tell them to stop. It will destroy them.